everybody. Thanks for watching. So real quick, Merkabah Scholar Society members, make sure you guys check your emails for the new video link. It's an update video, so you guys can go ahead and download that video and watch it, as well as for the new calendar video. So the new crypto video is out. All you guys got to do is go to the app and you can stream that video and just click on the link and you can watch that video from the link. So now you guys don't have to download the videos. You can just stream it from the app and watch the videos from the app. So yeah, make sure you guys check your emails and let's get into this video. So now, people have been asking about the whole status change thing, the whole status correction, UCC1 and all that stuff, stuff I touched on a long time ago. So I get into a lot of debates about this whole thing because a lot of people see the videos and they see these people debate with the cops and pull out their information and basically say, I own my birth certificate. I don't have a social security number. I'm traveling and everything like that. And a lot of people think it's cool. A lot of people want to know how to do this particular thing. And as I said, I have experience with this whole thing. I know the process. I have looked at a lot of these cases when I was in law school and I've seen how it works. But my, my caution to a lot of you guys who want to do this, is exactly what I've been saying before. Is not everything you think it is. So I know people think it's cool to go ahead and challenge the cop and, pull out all this information and make a cop feel stupid, but it's not what you think it is. And if your paperwork is not correct, one, they're going to tow your car. Two, when you go and try to file this paperwork to get it through the courts, you have to have a judge sign off on a lot of this stuff. And if your paperwork is not correct, you could be put in federal prison for basically trying to defraud the federal government. Now, it's a lot of people who have had this problem. A lot of people who get to a certain point and they fall off because they missed a step or they wasn't clear on a step, and that can have serious consequences. But one of the things you have to learn is and know that you're talking about basically quitting your job, right? So if you look at America as being, a business, a corporation, as they say, United States is a corporation, right? You're basically being fired or you're basically quitting the United States job. And when you quit a job, you give back your ID. You can't use the company name anymore, stuff like that, right? It's different. Now, you get fired from Walmart or what have you, or you quit Walmart, you can still go on Walmart and shop. Same type of situation. You can still live in these United States. You can still, be in business for yourself. You can still have basically a EIN, and you can go ahead and do business as you doing business, which would be separate from the all capitals U that was created. Now, we're not going to get into all of that because everybody understands that whole thing with the straw man and your name in all capital letters is basically the straw man and them basically using you, separating you from your real you to go ahead and basically, make money from you. And that's a whole nother different topic to get in. That's a lot of information with that whole thing. But what I want to do in this video was answer those questions and let people know that when you go ahead and you do this status change, you go ahead. Well, first of all, the country you're claiming nationality from, you have to get accepted, by that country. So they'll let you slide on pending for only a while. And then they'll give you like a date to where you have to have all this paperwork and proof. You can get some of this stuff actually signed off by a judge that you need to get signed off, but it stops at a certain point. Then different states in America have different laws as far as traveling. And some of them require, if you're going to travel through their state, you must have a registered vehicle or what have you, or you're going to have to completely avoid their state altogether when you're traveling, when you're driving. So that's something to think about. So, and then you have to map that out. So I can't drive through certain states because they don't allow me to use, what I'm using, right? So those are some of the things you got to think about. Two is not having a social security number. And you not having a social security number, then you can't work because you can't fill out a W-2, right? You can't fill out a W-4 without a social security number unless you're here on a immigration status or here on a visa status, right? So I'm not talking about your friend or your cousin or the person who you know that's here in a different capacity as a foreign student or an immigration status or some type of status that's already, has a deal or is recognized by this government as you being here and basically operating with that status, right? That's not a social security number technically. That's not the same as having a social to where you can go ahead and, fill out a W-2, fill out a W-4, right? Not the same thing. So you got to remember that. Now, if you're going to work at any tax-paying job, you have to fill out a W-2. You got to fill out a W-4. You can't do that with just the EIN, right? Now, you can still go and work using your EIN and you can pay taxes that way. But understand, one, you doing this whole process so you don't have to pay taxes. And it's still going to be at the discretion of whoever's hiring you to just simply hire you with an EIN, knowing they might not get those tax breaks with you doing what you're doing as far as you claiming to be sovereign or you claiming to be a separate entity doing business as whatever you're doing business as, right? So a whole lot of legal stuff with all this, right? And there's a lot of stuff to think about. But not having a social is one thing. And you have to think about the complications that that's going to have when you trying to do business moving forward, which is why I said before, if you do something like this, you want to make sure that you got money already. Because if you're trying to do this just so you can cuss out some cops or think you can be above the law or get out some tickets, okay, so how are you going to work now? Now, anybody who you coming in contact with to do business with, they probably won't want to do business with you because is going to be, a liability issue or it's going to be a legal issue. And it's not the same as doing just, contract work and going and working there. But if you work in there and you working with union members, that could be a conflict. So it's so much with that whole thing. And as I said, one, if you do something like this, you want to make sure you got a person who you trust that has a social security number that you trust to help you with things you're going to need their help with as far as having that social. Two, you got to ask yourself, is it really worth it, right? Is it worth dealing with all this stuff, right? Is it worth dealing with, the cops constantly pulling you over because they're going to see your plates. They're going to run your plates and they're going to test you and try you, and constantly you're going to be traveling and having to deal with cops. Then if you're not up on the law and knowing what state laws changed, you could be dealing with a whole lot of harassment. Now, some people do this stuff hoping they get pulled over and beat up by the cops so they can basically retire, right? You'll retire with, broken legs or retire with a bullet in your back or never being able to walk again or might even be killed. Who knows? It's simply not worth it in some capacities, right? Now, I can understand why some people might want to do this for other reasons, right? And the thing is, what's the thinking behind this? Like, what's the real reason that you might want to do something like this? And the thing is, one, I guess a lot of people think that, I don't want to be touched. I don't want to be looked at the same as everybody else as far as in the eyes of the law. So I want to do this whole thing and not have to deal with cops messing with me. If a cop pull me over, then I can, I'm going to say what I'm going to say. I mean, it's the same status as you not doing any crime at all, right? If you're black, they're going to fuck with you regardless, right? The whole thing is, if you're not a criminal, if you're not running from the law, if you're not committing any crimes, you don't really have anything to worry about as far as a cop just simply bothering you. Now, if a cop want to bother you, he's going to bother you regardless of you having the status or what have you. And yeah, if you pull all this shit out, it don't matter. If a cop want to do something crooked, I mean, he's breaking the law. If he wants to break the law, he's going to break the law. So I don't know if that's a ticket or, something you want to use for those reasons. I would seek an alternative route, right? But some people are going to want to do this because they've seen the videos and it looks cool and, cussing out the cop and, making the cop feel stupid. It is what it is. But there's a lot of those videos online right now. A lot of people have questions about them. And a lot of people are falling for that trap and getting caught up in a lot of legal issues, thinking that this stuff works and they could just say certain things without properly understanding the law and how this stuff really works in a court of law. Now, I'm not saying all this to discourage anybody from doing it or to try to make it like these people are liars or what have you. It's just information for you to understand and know that there's more to this whole process than just filing some paperwork. Different states have different laws. The reason why a lot of people want to do it because they want to separate themselves from the United States and be considered sovereign. It's a lot more to it than that. It's a lot more you have to do. And then if you was born here and you have a social, getting out of that is completely different. It's a different process because you're saying that you're basically trying to say that you wasn't born here, you wasn't naturalized here, that you wasn't born in the United States, that you basically claiming nationality from a different country, right? So the country of choice for a lot of these people is Morocco. I talked about the whole Treaty of Peace and Freedom and everything like that. And this stuff is based upon the whole recognition of Morocco, recognizing America and its infancy or what have you. It's a whole bunch with that. But you have to get, at some point, recognition from these countries to be a part of this whole thing. And a lot of people never get it. And that's what they don't tell you in a lot of these videos, how hard the process is, and how many people have been put in jail trying to do this process. And the whole A for V or V for P or what have you, the whole thing about, using your bills and sending it to the Treasury Department to basically get them to pay your bills, totally different process. It's a completely different thing. And it has been argued, and you could possibly win this whole thing, but it's a fight that, is so much. It's tough as years, and it's like at the end of the day, you're not going to get out of it what you think you're going to get out of it, because these people are smart and they covered their ass on a lot of these legal things. So the thing is this is what they're not going to tell you, what people are not understanding. One, this stuff goes back to the United States of America, right? It doesn't so this paperwork and everything that you're going through and that you're trying to sue is going to go back to the U.S. corporation. And then you're going to try to go through them to get remedy from basically your status as you being a flesh and blood human being in the United States of America, right? So they basically protected themselves from that by being a separate entity. So once you do all this, this is what I think about. Once you do all this, okay, you did the status change, you don't got a social no more, everything is done. What court of law are you going to sue these people to try to get this money from without basically being a part of the system, right? So how are you going to sue, and how are you going to get money from a system you're no longer a part of? What court is going to recognize that? Now, you can go in there to get remedy for anything under common law, right? But this is not going to fall under common law. This is different jurisdiction shit. This is different legal stuff, right? We're talking about a contract that you basically entered into unbeknownst to you when you was born. You was born into it. You separating from that. The only thing they really are obligated to do is let you out of it, is to let you go. Any monetary stuff after that is it's an uphill battle. It's a climb. And I've seen so many people try to go after that treasury money. The whole thing that we're supposed to have billions of dollars in the treasury, and, your birth certificate number is basically a stock number. And it's all this money and everything that's in there that you can go ahead and get. It's a lot with that. You got to understand, man. And I said this before. We Black people, we are fucking resilient, man. They will never get rid of us. We are resilient. They try everything. We've been through everything. One thing about my people I know is when it's I ain't gonna say a scam, but if it's a hookup at all in any sort, we're on it. Don't you believe that if this stuff was true and real, Black people would have been on it. We'd have shared the shit. It'd have been passed around the hood a number of times, and everybody would have been on top of this shit by now. Plain and simple. So there's something to think about. Black folks would have been on top of the whole thing. We would have milked it till the cows came home, man. And we haven't done it. It's the same thing that happened with PUA and PPP. Once the word got out, everybody was on top of it. Everybody was doing it. So it's something to think about in that capacity, because we don't know unless you go through a person that has done this whole thing, right? So that's one of the biggest things I looked at, because we like to be free. We like our freedom as Black folks, right? So it's something that I think a lot of people would have spread around, and that information would have got out on how this process is exactly being done. The thing is, what's been happening is so many people who have tried it have been arrested, and they've been too embarrassed to even, talk about the shit with other people. And then you have people with criminal records who try to do this, try to get out of their criminal record, and it backfires drastically. So again, I'm not trying to, discourage anybody or make something seem like it's a lie or whatever have you. I'm just telling you guys this. Yes, all that shit is true. Every single bit of it is true. But you have to understand, walking that legal line is completely different. It's tough. And then you have to be built for that. There have been, don't make no mistake, there have been people who have done so successfully. A lot of them white folks, believe it or not. You have a whole clans of white folks that have done this whole thing, claim sovereignty. They live in communities basically on their own, separated from everything else. You got to look at the Amish. The Amish is basically on that same recognition to be separate from this stuff. The Indians as well, and some other recognized groups by the government just don't fuck with. And for you to do the same thing, it's a lot with that. And then you have to have a support system or a lot of money to even do it. And if you have a lot of money and you're rich already, there's no need to fucking do it. There's no point. because you want to go and do business. And then if you're rich, you're not suffering from the same shit that somebody who really wants to do this is suffering from. You're able to go out and buy what you want to buy. You're not being held back by certain things. You can go and be lucrative and grow and expand your business. There's no point of doing this, right? It's just going to hinder your process and make it a little harder. So it would be like, it would be better, again, for people to, don't go chase the get rich quick shit. Don't go chase what everybody else is talking about and people hyping it up because they hyping you up because they scared to do it and they trying to get you to go do the shit and see where you fuck up at. And then they're going to come asking you, okay, how did you do it? That's what people do. And then when you get booked and you need bail money, they ain't not going to be nowhere to be found. So yeah, something to think about. And I think a lot of people think about this. A lot of people want to do something like this, but at the end of the day, it's not realistic. It's not really going to fit your lifestyle and what you're trying to do. If you're working and you need your job to survive, it's not for you. It's just not. If you're running your own business and doing your own thing and you're good and everything like that, then you're good. Keep doing what you're doing and just keep working and building on what you're building on. A lot of people who are arguing about this thing, they fucked up. They got issues. They messed up in the head, which is why they argue with me about this stuff. It's not going to benefit you. You're not going to walk around. A lot of these guys be so hostile. I mean, it's not even that deep. Like I've seen probably 2 people get the whole situation right to where the cop let them go because all their paperwork and everything was in order, right? And then the 2 people who I saw just had it was white folks. I talked about before, it's talking about slavery. Being locked up, you're basically a slave when you've been arrested. Now, if you have a criminal record, you basically cannot never do this because they have you in the system as, 1, it's a common law issue. 2, you're already in the system as being a criminal, so certain things will not apply to you unless you get your record expunged first. And this is how I came into contact with this whole process because I talked about before, I went to law school. I help people get the records expunged in Philly. I know that whole process. And what I ran into, because, in Philly, we got everything. We got 5%ers, Seventh-day Adventists, we got Muslims out the ass. We got everything in Philly. So what I ran into with one person I was working with was the fact that he did this whole thing and he had a criminal record afterwards, right? And it was tough to get his record expunged because he kind of sort of was in the system, but outside the system. In fact, he was held up for so long before court even could start for this guy because they couldn't basically identify the guy. They was talking about trying to deport him because there was really no record until they finally, because he had everything sealed. But it doesn't matter. Like if you do this and you think you can go commit a crime and get away with it, it don't work like that, right? It don't work because then now you basically put yourself back in the jurisdiction of this state or what have you that you're in once you committed this crime, and then everything that falls under that jurisdiction you fall under now. You basically lost your so-called, sovereignty or what have you because you broke common law. You broke a law. Now you're under a jurisdiction of thereof. It doesn't work that way. It's just so much more to it that you have to understand. It's not that you can just go be free and break the law because you have sovereignty status or you claim a nationality from somewhere else, right? And then it's like, okay, cool. Depending on what you do, you can get, they can kick you out, send you back to the country that you claim to be from. You got a house there? You know what I mean? You got a job there? You set up? It's so much, man. A lot to think about, right? So I don't want to say anything wrong or say anything because this is a legal thing. So I want to make sure I'm clear about what I'm saying. But that's from me studying the whole thing and me dealing with it. I seen what it comes with. And again, I know you guys have a lot of questions about that whole situation, but I highly recommend you just stick to something different. And that way you can still make your money. You can still do what you got to do. And then, you don't have to worry about this whole, claiming sovereignty and everything like that. And again, if you're breaking the law, you're doing something wrong, cops they're gonna bother you regardless. Yeah, so it's a lot to think about with the whole process. And hopefully I can, I answered some of the questions you guys have. I know the main one is just like people worried about getting in trouble or can I be arrested? What are the consequences of this whole thing? And not having a social security number in this society it's a huge setback because, just look at your life now. Look at everything you've done and what require you to have a social security number. I mean, any type of legal documents you're filling out, you need a social. You're trying to get a loan, you need a social. You're trying to do anything. Shit, to get a phone, you need a social. It's crazy unless you get, you buy it from somebody else. there are ways around the pitfalls, yes, but the convenience is horrible, and then you can't do this stuff ever, right? So ask yourself, what is the real reason why you want to do this, and is it worth it, right? I highly recommend that people just figure out another way. It's not hard to get rich in this country. It's not. It requires work. Anything that's worth you being rich and having that kind of success or what have you, or fame, whatever you're looking for, is going to require hard work. And that's the problem. A lot of you guys are not willing to do it. So you're looking for a way out. You're looking for a workaround or what have you. A lot of you guys are not willing to work. You're not willing to go out and do what it takes. Or you set and you stuck in your ways and you're not willing to come out of it. And that's the problem. That's the main issue. So I think you got to look at that and look at, what else can I do? What can I do different from what I'm doing now that's going to allow me to make the kind of money that I'm trying to make? So aside from get rich quick or committing a crime or what have you, what else can you do? And as I said, I've given you guys alternative ways of making money. There's so many different things that you can do out here to generate money. This is not going to get you rich. This is not going to make you a shit ton of money. So I would highly suggest figuring something else out. And it's not tough. It's not hard for you guys to do. And a lot of people are doing it. And a lot of people are being successful from off of the things that they're doing. It is a lot of get rich quick schemes out here, but it's also a lot of proper ways to get money and make money out here that a lot of people are utilizing. And they're doing fine with that. So I really think you guys should look into a lot of alternative ways. Drop shipping has been one, but it's more than just drop shipping that you guys can do to generate money. Entrepreneurship is a big thing. A lot of people just need extra education, and some people are not willing to do that. So if you guys could, go learn a trade, go figure out what it is that you want to do that's different from what you've been doing. Doing the same thing is not going to yield different results. You're going to have the same results every time. So I think it's more proper for you guys to figure out what type of schooling or what type of training you might need to help you go from here to here. So that's all it is in most cases. So I think a lot of people, once they figure that out and they figure out what else they can do to start generating that extra money, they usually generate the extra money. So hopefully it's not something that a lot of my followers are trying to do. Hopefully it's something that a lot of people who understand the process won't gravitate towards. So it's cool and all. I've seen a lot of the videos. A lot of people try to do the the claiming sovereignty and the whole thing with traveling and you having the right to travel versus driving your car, what have you. So and then some people do it because they get their license suspended. It's a lot of different reasons why people want it. Just make sure it's not for something that's going to involve you growing in business later on. And I think you guys will be all right, figuring out an alternative way of making money. Links in the description for people still trying to join. Again, hopefully I answered the questions. And hopefully you guys understand a lot of the information that's out there for this whole situation is not really checked. And the people who have been through the process, which, like I said, I have experience with it. I've seen people go through it, understand what that entails. A lot of people who inquire about the process don't know anybody who has successfully completed the process and just out here living real good because they completed the process. So that's something to think about. If you ran into somebody that completed the process successfully, 9 times out of 10, they stinking rich or they had money before, which is why the process worked. It's not going to work for everybody. So I think a lot of you guys understand that. So yeah, hopefully this video helped. Links in the description. Make sure you guys who are part of society, you check your emails. Make sure you guys are doing good. And it's a lot more to come. A lot more to come with that video. But yeah, thanks for taking the time to watch, scholars. Appreciate the support. Peace.